All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible story of Salient. This is a company that, in just 2 years, has totally shaken up the world of finance and AI. And it's a wild story of perfect timing, some really bold moves, and just, some serious technical skill.
So, let's start with the number that is everybody talking. Salient just pulled in a massive $60 million Series A funding round. I mean, for a company that's barely a toddler, that is an absolutely jaw-dropping figure.
But you see, the money, that's only part of it. What's maybe even more impressive is what they've already done. Salient has processed over $1 billion in loan transactions. $1 billion! And they've interacted with more than 3 million unique borrowers right here in the US.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question, right? How? How does a brand new company, a startup, achieve that kind of scale in one of the most heavily regulated industries on the planet? Well, it turns out it's this fascinating mix of tech, strategy, and just pure, relentless commitment.
Okay, first things first. Let's get clear on what Salient actually does. So, Salient is an AI platform that completely automates loan servicing. Think about everything that happens after a loan is approved. Collecting payments, customer service calls, all that stuff. Salient uses AI to handle the whole shebang. And they're not playing small ball here. They're working with major non-bank lenders and even 3 of the largest publicly listed banks in the US.
Now, an idea this huge doesn't just pop out of thin air. The origin story for Salient actually started at one of the most innovative companies you can think of.
So one of the founders was working at Tesla, and he noticed something kind of weird. The company was giving out car loans to people with amazing credit scores, like the safest bets you could make. And yet the cost of just managing those loans was shockingly high. It was a total light bulb moment. He spotted this huge inefficiency in the market, a real pain point just waiting for a tech solution.
And this is where the story really catches fire. The company's insane growth was basically fueled by a 1-2 punch. A massive leap in AI technology and a level of customer commitment that is almost unbelievable.
You have to look at this timeline, because it's everything. Salient didn't just get lucky. They rode the AI wave perfectly. In early 2023, models like GPT 3.5 let them build these incredibly high-quality demos that could wow people. But the real game changer, that was July, when the open-source model Llama 2 dropped. That gave them the power to go from a few hundred calls a day to over 100,000. And that's exactly the kind of firepower they needed to land their first monster customer. And when I say their demos were good, I mean they were like magic. There was this one early demo that got everyone talking. It featured a shockingly realistic AI voice of Steve Jobs. It was that wow moment, the kind of thing that proves the tech has crossed a line. It wasn't just a cool idea anymore. It was real, and it was ready to go. So who was the massive team behind this powerful technology? A giant corporation with endless resources? Nope. It was just 2 founders, literally working out of a bedroom in San Francisco, cold emailing every single lender they could possibly find. And then, one of those cold emails hit, and it hit big. Their first major client was Westlake Financial, a huge auto lender with over $25 billion in assets. I mean, talk about punching above your weight. This quote just says it all about their commitment. So what do they do when this gigantic company shows some interest? They don't just schedule a few more Zoom calls. No, they packed up their lives, left San Francisco, and moved right next door to their new client's office for 1.5 years just to make sure the launch was perfect. That's a whole other level of customer focus.
Okay, so they land the whale, but how on earth did they actually service this massive client and scale the business with such a tiny team?
This is just incredible. I mean, look at this. Salient grew to tens of millions in revenue with a core team of just 10 engineers. 10. That kind of ratio is almost unheard of. It really tells you everything about their unique way of operating.
So here's their secret sauce. It's a strategy they actually borrowed from Palantir, and it's called the forward deployed engineer model. Basically, every single engineer is put directly in charge of a major customer. They aren't just hiding behind a screen coding. They're the account manager and the tech lead, talking directly to CFOs and VPs. Now, you'd think the hardest part of all this was building that super advanced voice AI, right? Well, it turns out the real challenge, and honestly their biggest competitive advantage, was somewhere else entirely. The real beast was navigating this absolute labyrinth of financial regulations.
Consumer lending in the US is just a crazy web of laws. You've got federal laws, state laws, district rules. You got to worry about TCPA call compliance, PCI security for payments, complicated bankruptcy protections. Building a system that can handle all of that flawlessly at scale, that became their true competitive moat.
So, a company that has grown this fast, where do they go from here? Well, their vision is even bigger, even more ambitious than everything they've managed to build so far. Their ultimate goal is to become the system of record for every single loan in America. What that means is they're building out the whole suite: a CRM, an accounting system, workflow automation, and of course, the AI contact center. The idea is to create a totally touchless software experience for lenders, from the second a loan is born to the day it's paid off.
But, why does any of this really matter? It all comes back to this one mission. By making loan servicing radically cheaper and more efficient, Salient's goal is to lower the cost of credit itself. The savings they create for banks aren't just supposed to stay with the banks. The idea is to pass those savings on, making loans more affordable for all of us.
And that leaves us with this final, really big thought. We've seen technology totally upend so many industries, right? With companies like Salient pushing the envelope this hard, you just have to ask, is AI the thing that could finally make the incredibly complex world of finance more efficient, more accessible, and maybe, just maybe, a little more fair for the average person? It's a huge question, and one that's definitely worth watching.